Hey everyone, just a quick note before we get into the episode. As you can maybe guess from the title, this one is all about spam. And it's hard to mention spam without mentioning Hawaii, which we do in the show. But we just wanted to let you know that this episode was recorded before the devastating fires in Maui, so you won't hear us talk about it in the show. And I'm sure many of you have already donated to support survivors of the fires, but it is an ongoing journey and support is still needed, so we wanted to point you toward a couple of specific places that are important to us and to our guests. The first of those is the Chef Hui Fund, which has been working to feed the people of Lahaina as well as support hospitality and service workers that have been displaced by the fires. It's tax deductible, and you can find a link to donate in the show notes and on our websites. The second one is extremely personal to me. My dear friend, coach, and very early supporter of the show, Dr. Julia Colangelo. She's a Lahaina resident. She escaped with her family, but they lost their home and everything else. She has been a pillar of her surf community and has been actively dispersing a lot of the funds that she's getting and providing mutual aid to her community. She's super special to me and to the show, and so we're sharing a link to her Venmo if you'd like to get some money directly into the hands of Lahaina residents. I'll also mention that there is a Spam brand t-shirt that supports Maui fire victims. With any large brand campaign, there's no real visibility into where the money is going or how quickly, but I'd like to trust that it's getting where it needs to go, and the shirt is really cute if you want to check it out. And then one last note, not related to Maui, but we mention a lot of art and artists in this show, so there are a lot of links if you'd like to learn more, and we hope that you do, so go and check those out as well. That's it for this preamble. This show was a lot of fun for us, and we really hope you enjoy it too. Hello, and welcome to Worst Quality Crab, a podcast of Asian American stories and recipes from best quality hearts. I'm your host, Freesia Lee. Joining me, as always, is husband, producer, co-host Sam.
Hello.
And today we actually have a very special episode in which we are going to break format a little bit. For this one, our 10th episode, we wanted to do something a little bit special. And after our guest Elisa sharing Spam, eggs, and rice as her comfort dish, we kind of knew, we'd already had the idea, but we knew that we just had to do a Spam episode. And so today we are talking all about Spam. Joining us today, you might remember her from our first episode, Margot Seeto. She is a Bay Area travel and food writer. Her gigs currently include being the dumpling columnist for SF Gate and author of some digital Lonely Planet articles about cool things to do in San Francisco. And she also is the mother of a 19-month-old human dumpling. Hi, Margot.
Hello. Thank you for having me back.
We're so happy to have you here. And joining you is Jin Yoo-Kim, a filmmaker who is mostly doing documentaries right now. She's also the co-director of Bayvac Media Maker Fellowship, which brings together emerging documentary filmmakers with a grant and artist support. And when she's not making films, she's documenting her own food consumption on social media with a big focus on Asian American comfort foods. Hi, Jin.
Hello. So happy to be here.
We're so happy to have you. And for our listeners at home, there is a very special reason that we have the two of them here together. Not only are Margot and Jin old friends, but early on in pandemic, they also collaborated to make a short film called SPAMFIGHT. Before we get into the food, I want to know a little bit about SPAMFIGHT and how it came to be. Margot, Jin, who wants to take it away?
Margot, you should start.
Sure. Well, in 2020, I'd gotten laid off from my service industry job and I decided to pivot back to writing. And I was like, I'm going to do like memoirs and personal essays, comfort food cooking and all that. And so one of the things I like, obviously, is Spam. But I remember cooking Spam while my partner was home. He's a vegetarian. And we had this whole big fight about it because he's like, I hate the smell. Don't cook it around me. And I was like, I can have it whenever I want. It was like very symbolic for me, as an Asian American and all that. And so it turned into this whole thing. And then I was like, I am so bad. I'm going to write an essay about you. Like the dorky nerd that I am. And I did. But of course, as Regis, I totally dunked on him, which is kind of me. I should have been a little bit nicer, but I was like pretty mad at the time. But apparently it resonated with a lot of people, including my friend Jin. And then from there, she told me this really cool idea.
Yeah, so during the pandemic, this is like lockdown period. Nobody was really allowed to go out. And the Asian American Documentary Network also known as ADOC. We were asking filmmakers to make films COVID related and also Asian American related, like, because there was a rise in hate crime against Asian Americans. And, a lot of people all over the US, they were making like, I think it was like 2-minute shorts. So I was really thinking about what I could do from my house. And of course, at that same exact moment, I read Margot's article. And me and Margot go way back, like in college. And this was like, spam was always like there. You know what I mean? Like spam was our like invisible friend, but visible and edible. Like the way you wrote it had like a really clear, like dramatic point, and it had characters, and it had like, you did talk about the rise of hate crimes against Asian Americans and how eating spam was like the way you were holding on to your identity. And all of that like really resonated with me. And then it was also like, I think we could like make this into a short film, like just using the article and Margot's voice reading it, as like the base. So it kind of happened really fast too, right? Because I think you wrote it, I read the article, I was like pitching to you, like, let's make this into a short film. Margot's like, what?
Like, I don't know anything about anything. Well, the crazy thing, I remember you said you submitted your proposal, I think it was like after the official deadline. And unofficially, I think you were told that it wasn't going to have a good chance.
Yeah.
And then you got it.
Yeah, this is an Asian American documentary network. So like everybody in this network has a relationship with spam, right? And I really think this like luncheon meat is like probably the unifier with like East Asian, like Pacific Islander, like whatever country had US military presence had spam. So it almost like binds us together more than like geopolitics. Or identity issues, like discussions around what does it mean to be like Asian American.
I love that. I remember Margot writing this piece also, and then her telling me that this short film was a possibility and then it was going to happen. And I was like, this is so cool. Just from spam, like a thing that I think so many of us, it's in our daily lives, and also we overlook it in thinking about like, oh, what are foods that are like special? And, that's kind of the point of this whole podcast, is like the things that don't seem special, but really are and really have a place in our hearts. And it's so funny that you mentioned like, any country that had US military presence, because I was thinking about this in preparation for this. And I was like, white people seem to turn their noses up at spam, but at the same time, like, isn't spam just the ultimate symbol of dominating your oppressed in some way? Like, you brought this canned meat to the people you were trying to, quote unquote, help oppress, and now they love it. Like,
and they made it better.
And they made it better. Yeah. It's some sort of like weird imperialist sign or whatever, but like, I don't know.
It's true. And I think, and we were joking about it, but like a lot of, white Americans who have a relationship with spam, it wasn't a good relationship. It was something that reminded them of war or like war times. Like if they weren't at war, they were here eating spam because they couldn't afford to eat like meat, right? But ironically now, like a can of spam is like almost $5. Like it's really expensive now, and there's so many flavors. And I think Asians in their own respective home countries like figured out what to do with spam to make it like really good and how to make it sing. And I don't think like the white Americans here did, because they didn't have to rely on it for protein, or they didn't have to rely on it or to survive or to make it look good or to make it taste good, because they can eat other things. So I think there's like so many different point of views. And yeah, I mean, it's slowly changing with like Asian Americans, especially in the culinary world. I feel like we're bringing our love for spam into our foods. Like you go to restaurants now and you can see spam on the menu, and it actually like tastes and looks good. So I think it's slowly changing, but there is so much taboo around it, and it is ironic.
Listeners at home, you can't see this, but Margot just held up her 2 cans of spam in varying flavors, which I love. And also Jin is wearing a spam t-shirt.
Yes, I'm wearing my 2022 Waikiki Spam Jam shirt. I finally got to go. This was my second time going, and it was incredible because I think during COVID they stopped it. They have like this annual Spam Jam in Waikiki. I think like hundreds of thousands of people come to it. And it's just like a big celebration where they block out the main roads, like the main tourist roads. And all these vendors come out. And I remember the first time I went, like I bought like spam soap, spam oil for the body. Like, so I don't, it was like kind of gross, but I was also like so intrigued by the novelty of like so much Spam. I had my first like Spam fries. They had like Spam nachos, Spam pizza. It was like, they did it a little differently, kind of like a restaurant week style where you go to different restaurants and they have the Spam stuff on their menu. And then they had like one event where they had everyone coming together. But it was still nice. I think I preferred like the big fair, like crazy, like roadblocked stuff. It was really good. It felt like I was making my own pilgrimage. And I think if you're a Spam lover and you're in the Spam cult, like, you know, like there's like these specific milestone events and things that you look forward to. Like there's the Waikiki Spam Jam. You can do a pilgrimage to the Spam Museum, which I still have yet to do, but
We had plans to do that.
Where is the Spam Museum?
it's in Austin, Minnesota, in the middle of nowhere, really. I mean, I don't want to say that because people get mad at me if I say that, but like, you know, it's in Austin, Minnesota. I thought there was only one Austin in the US, right?
I went to the inaugural Spam Jam when I was living in Hawaii, and I was like, I forget what year it was, maybe 2012 or 2011. And it was like a huge street fair. But the thing that I remember the most was that they were pushing the Spam hot dog. There was a Spam brand hot dog, and I tried it. And then my reaction being like, this tastes like a hot dog, which shouldn't be surprising because Spam and hot dogs are just both like extremely processed meats. So like, why should I be surprised? So I was not enthralled by it, and I guess nobody else was either because I had not seen Spam hot dogs since then.
Yeah.
That just does seem like make this into a new shape.
Exactly, it's like all the Taco Bell foods, right? It's like, let's just turn it, make it flat, or like make it round or something. I mean, good effort, I guess. I'm not sure.
I think it messes with your brain because, like, yeah, like I recently bought like bacon sausage, like bacon in a sausage form, and I'm sure it's similar to that, but I couldn't wrap my brain around it. I was like, it doesn't taste like bacon, but it looks like a hot dog. And it doesn't taste like a hot dog. Like I couldn't figure it out.
If you're trying to make too many things into a hot dog shape, it's just too much? I don't know. Wait, did you use that Spam body oil? What?
Yikes.
I don't know if I bought that one actually. Like now that I think about it, but I have a Spam soap. It's in the shape of a Spam musubi, and the lady said that she used a Spam fat to like make the soap. I don't know if it's true or if it's just like maybe she lied.
I believe it.
I'm hoping she lied, but it does not smell like Spam. It smells like lavender or something.
Oh.
So you haven't used it? It's just like on display.
Yeah, I haven't used it. And then I think I did use it, and then I felt grossed out and threw it away.
Yeah, so we all do have our limits on.
I was like, I can't eat it. I can't smell like it. Forget this.
This is so fun. To actually talk about eating the food, do you guys remember like your earliest memories of eating Spam or how you ate it as kids?
I think it was just Spam, rice, and eggs, and it wasn't like every week or anything. I think we always had some, and it was just like once in a while. And I didn't get really kicked up for me, probably in college, because our friend Minnie was president of like Club Filipina. And one of the, I think their most successful events of the year would be they would just like have a huge like Spam, eggs, rice eating thing. And that's also where I got introduced to the banana ketchup, but specifically the Jufran, right?
Yes, we hear Jufran is the one. That's what we got.
The one and only.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then it exploded like once I moved to Hawaii, so of course. And then I haven't looked back. Also in college, Jin made a ton of, she's an amazing cook. So when she would make huge feasts and whatnot, there was almost always Spam involved as well.
Always.
Jin, did you grow up with Spam as a kid?
I did. I'm trying to remember like the first memory I had. So I grew up in Bolivia until I was 5. And I don't remember actually having Spam that early on. But it could also be because I have no memory of that because I'm old now. But I always felt like I ate it at home and in different formats, right? Like from Spam fried rice to like what I loved in my home that we always did. And my earliest memory of this is like when I was living with my grandmother in the US. I lived here from 5 to 15 with my grandmother and my brother in like this small little apartment. My parents were still in Bolivia. And it was hard times in the sense of like, it was hard living without your parents during your formative years. And my grandma would make these like Spam. She sliced it and then she sliced it in half. So it's like a smaller Spam. And then she coated it in egg batter and then fried it. So it's like Spam and eggs, but like together.
Ooh,
Wow.
like a
And
like a square Spam, like a half.
Yeah, like a square Spam. Koreans eat this thing called chun, which is kind of like a pancakey thing. Usually it's like fish, and then you batter it with you coat it with flour, and then you batter it with egg, and then you fry it. And she basically did that with the Spam. And I used to think like my grandma was such a genius, and like I'm like, oh my god, like she figured out this new recipe. And of course I went over to like some other Korean person's house and they had the same exact thing, and I was like, what? Is this just Korean food? Like, did my grandma not invent anything? How dare she? So we ate that all the time. And then like my favorite memories are like we would get one can of Spam, and then when we went back to Bolivia, my house was like my mom, my dad, my grandma, my uncle, me, my 2 brothers. So it's like 7 people around this giant table. And then it's just one can of Spam. And even if they cut it in half, that's 14 slices that's coated in egg. And as soon as we're like done praying, you know, thank you God for this food, like all the chopsticks would like fly out and like try to get all the Spams. And we're all just like fighting each other with. And then like my uncle was like 10 years older than us, and he would always grab like 4 at a time and put it on his plate. And we're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? This is so fucking unfair. And I would always get like 1 or 2, and I would be like pissed during the whole dinner. I don't even know what else I ate during the. I mean, there could have been like fish and like vegetables. Like I don't even know. Like I was just so pissed that I'm like, how could I only get 2 out of 14 slices? So, I'm still angry.
Do you make that now so that you can eat all you want?
Yeah. So now, like as a mom, and my son is the biggest Spam boy. Like if I ask him like what do you want to eat, he'll be like Spam fries or Spam waffles, or you know, like he'll just name like 15 different Spam dishes, and I'm like, I don't even have Spam right now. I guess I gotta go and buy some like a pallet of Spam and make your wishes come true. But now, yeah, I think Spam fries are actually really easy because you just cut them up like matchsticks and then you fry it. Sometimes you can coat it really easily with like panko or, you know, like waffle. I did that waffle stick with the maple Spam recently, and I'm like, that's the way to go. It has like a really good Spam to batter ratio where the Spam is still the highlight, but you have some sweetness around it, but it's not so heavy with carbs that you can't taste the Spam because like the Spam is a star.
It's so cute.
Speaking of Spam and kids, we'll talk about how our kids eat Spam. But Margot, I have to know, your child, she has a vegetarian dad, and you, Spam-loving mom, where does she fall in SPAMFIGHT?
Oh, well, she's 19 months old now, so I haven't given her Spam yet. Like, I'm for certain, like, sort of junk foods, I'm trying to wait until she's at least 2, which of course has not happened with some things. Like she's finally had French fries, and of course it's like mind blown for her. I'm like, oh, she had ice cream at her grandparents' house, and of course she was like, So she hasn't had Spam yet, but overall, like she eats meat, and I want her to try everything, including Spam. And you know, my partner's fine with that. And at any point, even if she's as young as 5 or whatever, she's like, I don't want to have meat. That's fine. You know, but I would hope that she would try everything just for the sake of being adventurous and, you know, expanding her palate. So, but I hope she likes Spam. She likes eggs already, and she likes rice. So I have a good feeling about this.
You're just going to slide the Spam right in there?
It's probably really intense for a baby or a
like
little kid.
Salty, right?
Yeah, like as adults, we've been conditioned to the sodium, but it's probably like a real salt bomb for a little baby.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'm also like a little bit psycho about the salt and sugar thing too. So I think I've got to wait and see about that. But I'm so curious about you all. With most of your kids are older, so what are the possibilities?
Yeah,
kids down the road.
So we exclusively get low sodium Spam if it's not a flavor, and I say that because it's so salty still that I like can't even remember what regular Spam was like.
That's my go-to as well. 25%.
Yeah. Well, you know, because that's what Costco will sell me in an 8-pack, which is how we need to buy it in our household. I think Sam actually does most of the Spam cooking in our house, but Sydney, our middle one, really loves it. Like, just will, you know, he makes this like elbow macaroni. It's like a very Hong Kong cafe dish, like elbow macaroni, Spam, and peas. And sometimes she went through a phase of like just picking out all of the Spam and eating nothing else. And we were like, well, I don't know about this. And then we couldn't get her to eat anything else. And we were just like, okay, well, I guess we're going to pick out the Spam from like what's left in the pot. And if that's what makes you full, like you had a vegan lunch at school today. So that's fine.
It evens out. Do you make like a spammy broth to go with it, or like a chickeny broth?
Sometimes I use chicken broth. Sometimes I just use the water that I was cooking the macaroni in because the Spam kind of salts it enough. And then like dash in some like white pepper or something like that. And
So Chinese.
it's pretty yummy. They're also really into Spam fried rice. So much so that I think one time like we ran out of Spam and all we had was like hot dogs left, and I cut up a hot dog in the same like shape as Spam and I put it in the fried rice. I even told them, I was like, sorry, we don't have any Spam left. It's going to be hot dog. And they're like, okay. And they like did not eat it as much as if it were the Spam version. They were like, it tastes different. I know you told us that it was hot dog, but we don't like it.
What if it was Spam hot dog?
Spam hot dog?
I gotta try the Spam hot dog then.
If you can find it.
I guess if you could eat a regular hot dog with ketchup and mustard and relish, or a Spam hot dog with ketchup and mustard and relish, which would you choose?
I think I have to go with a regular hot dog. I don't want to betray my Spam family, but again, going to the hot dog realm is like seemingly a bit too much.
It's too much for our brains.
It's too much for our brains, but I am like, if it was hot dog shaped and I could cook it in a teriyaki sauce and then my bun were made of rice.
Right, if you could change the sauce, like the banana ketchup. And
Could I essentially make a hot dog that was actually a Spam musubi in disguise?
Right, exactly.
Oh, I would eat that.
Someone describe Spam musubi for our listeners that maybe have not had one.
Spam musubi is basically a slice of Spam with teriyaki sauce over rice, sometimes with furikake in between, wrapped with nori or seaweed. There's a lot of contention around like where it was first invented. There's like rumors that it was invented in a concentration camp during World War II when Japanese Americans were incarcerated. There's rumors where it was this woman in Hawaii who just invented it and like never got her credit. I mean, there's a lot of like conflicting origin stories. Have you heard other, Margot, of the origins of that?
I think just as far as an old lady inventing it in Hawaii, I think there are at least two conflicting stories for that. Like maybe one woman who maybe worked in a convenience store, and then there's like another old lady story. But I'm sure, and the thing is, I'm sure like many people invented it, not knowing that others were doing the same thing. And I'm sure that's the way it is for a lot of foods and inventions. But yeah, so I guess it's at minimum three
people. Or two old women in Hawaii and like one story of concentration camp war food. Yeah.
It's the Ray's pizza of Hawaiian food.
But yeah, I guess people in agreement is that overall it is like a Japanese American invention, right?
Yeah.
Do y'all remember the first time you had it?
Like a true musubi? Because I had Korean like kimbap versions, like where my grandma would make, like she would have no other thing in the fridge and she would just make like the matchstick Spam and then wrap it in rice and then slice it. So it's like the only thing in the kimbap is Spam. So she made like her version. But again, she lived in Japan like her whole life. So maybe she had influence. I don't know. But that was like my first version. I don't know if I had a traditional musubi until maybe college.
I think for me, I had it was either in middle school or early high school because we have relatives in Hawaii. And so like I had it when I was visiting them, and also because I didn't eat meat until I was like 9. But I just like, I don't remember it specifically, but I know that at some point like I ate and I was like, hell yes. And like never looked back. And I was like, this for me is like the best iteration of Spam. Like this is the best delivery in a teriyaki sauce, like a bunch of rice underneath. To where when I was in college, I think I went and like either my mom had already like found me one or I got one, but like I had a musubi maker so that I could make them on my own.
Nice.
And that was like my lonely college experience, just being in my apartment, roommates were out. And I was like, I'm going to make a whole bunch of Spam musubis for myself. And I did. I made a whole can's worth, which is a lot.
That is
No regrets. No
That
regrets.
is amazing.
I love that.
Frisia, I don't think I had Spam musubi until we were living together, which was well into my adulthood.
What?
But I mean, to be fair, Sam is from the East Coast. I don't know if that,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I was like sheltered Brooklyn boy, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I had a vague idea that Spam was big in Hawaii, but I didn't know that like you could just go to a corner store and buy Spam musubi.
A quality one too. They're all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, pro tip, the 7-Eleven ones are superior to the ABC store ones. Just saying.
Fair.
It's so true.
You would know, Margot.
The ABC ones are shockingly bad. I'm just like considering, they're a huge tourist like store chain. They crank them out way too much rice and through the thin Spam. Mm-mm. At 7-Eleven, you can get all the variations.
That's just because they're hitting margins on like rice is cheaper than Spam.
No, that's the thing that with the ratios off,
Mhm.
it's enraging, really. Jin has a good ratio, I think, for hers, right? Isn't it like a 1-3? Is it 1-3, like, of Spam to rice?
Yeah, I figured out like because I was using regular less sodium Spam, and I figured like when you don't have enough rice, it's really freaking salty, especially because then you're adding like teriyaki sauce on top of that also, and furikake, which is salty also. So I'm like, yeah, I think you need at least three like what do you call it, like ratio, like 3-to-1 ratio of like rice. You need 3 times more rice than Spam for it to like not be too salty. With less sodium, maybe a little less rice, but I don't know. I think like as I'm getting older, my taste buds are changing, and sometimes when I eat Spam, it's too porky. Like I don't know if you find that for yourself, but I'm like, oh my gosh, it smells like pork. I don't know how anyone ever thinks this is made of anything but pork. Like it smells like freaking pork. So then that's why I love it in Korean food, because like Koreans like with kimchi, like it just like the kimchi just takes all the porkiness out.
Mm.
And I love it in like budae-jjigae and shin ramen, like anything with like kimchi and bacon. Sometimes I make like a base where I just like chop up kimchi, chop up Spam, and I cook the Spam first for the fat, and then I put the kimchi there, and then I put some rice there, and then that's it. That's all I have to do, and I can have like a kimchi Spam fried rice.
Yes.
It's not that porky, and I get my Spam and the kimchi gets caramelized, and it just like gets so good with the Spam. It's like a marriage. I wish my marriage was like Spam and kimchi. Like I aspire to that level of like you help each other out, man.
Get caramelized.
So harmonious.
It's harmonious. You elevate each other to like your utmost potential. Like, come on.
Oh man, I love that. First, I want to eat that, but also I love that. Like, I think that's what's so nice about Spam in a lot of ways is like it takes all of these other things that are otherwise a little bit plain or a little bit like too much of something, and they kind of like all balance each other out. Like even in just the like macaroni dish that we make for the kids, everything else is really boring. And all we add is like a little bit of Spam, and suddenly they're like, can I have a third bowl?
Exactly. I will say I have a nightmare story about Spam. I don't know if you want to hear it.
Yes,
I
please.
think we have to. I don't want to, but I think we have to balance it out a little bit.
I was remembering like you were asking like what's your memory, like earliest memory of Spam. So this is not my earliest, but it was my earliest gross memory. I was back in Bolivia to finish high school, and my mother, who like never cooked for me or packed my lunch because my grandmother used to do that like in LA, she was like, oh, I'm gonna like pack you a lunch. And then I opened up my lunch and it was like white bread, cream cheese, straight out of the canned Spam with like the congealed fat.
Oh.
Cream cheese, white bread. So
Whoa.
it traumatized me.
Oh, no.
I took a bite because I didn't realize like it was straight out of the can. But like the texture of the straight out of can Spam with the congealed fat and the cream cheese did not help each other out. That's like the opposite of marriage. That's like divorce, you know, like that is not good. Like that is so disgusting. Like it stayed with me, like that texture combination stayed with me for like a year, maybe 2 years. I couldn't eat Spam because I was so traumatized.
Wait, so this is real?
Thank God it was only for like a year, but
I thought you were saying this was a nightmare that you had, but this is actually real.
No, this is a nightmare that happened to me. This is like my Spam nightmare that actually was real. That's why when you like tell me like people are eating Spam straight out of the can, I'm just like, well, did they put it with cream cheese? Did they elevate the canniness and the raw-ishness of that Spam's texture with other gross like combination?
Did you ever ask her how she got that idea to put all those together?
Yeah, she was like, I thought cheese was cheese, and I thought Spam was ham. Like ham and cheese. It's a ham and cheese sandwich. And I was
okay.
I understand the logic, but this shows how you have not mothered me for like 10 years. And this is like the first thing that you think of is like, oh my God.
Wow.
She's like, I know you like bagel and cream cheese, and I know you love Spam, I was trying to make you a ham and cheese sandwich.
Oh man.
Good try, Ma.
Good logicking.
Yeah, I feel like a little bit bad because I'm like she was just trying, but
really, it makes me feel better. I'm like, I may fail as a mother, but I'm never gonna get that low. Like,
I will say, I was gonna say, it kind of reminds me of unnamed members of my family. That something they might also logic chain out. And yeah, I think it also makes me feel like, well, I would never do that. Like I don't do as much of the cooking, and a lot of times we're just sort of throwing snacks at our kids, but it's never going to be that.
See, that's the baseline now, right? Like, how bad can it get?
Yes.
I kind of want all of you guys just to try it, just so you know how it feels. You can spit it out, but like, please just try it.
I don't want to not eat Spam for a year, though.
That feels visceral enough for me already. I think we're good. Let's move
whenever you
on
say
to
the word
like
congealed. She's congealed. I'm like,
congealed is like the other moist. Like, no, thank you.
But you know, Spam like got rid of the congealed fat, right? Like they put potato starch now. So when you open a can of Spam, you see less of that fat that you like in the 80s and 90s. It was like you open it up and it like you blob it out. And it's like so much of it was covered with this like gelatinous fat. But now it's like only a little.
How's that lady going to make her soaps?
I used to put the fat into my ramen when I was cooking it
that
to
sounds
add
so good.
extra flavor.
I am looking at the ingredients in my Spam cans. Yes, it says modified potato starch, whatever that is.
When I was a kid, I thought Spam was like, it was short for special ham.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the rumors, right?
Because like regular ham, you don't cook, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was special because it was only good if you cooked it and fried it or something. So that's what made it special to me.
Oh my God. So speaking of special ham, so one of the people in the short film where I got some of the footage, like we used a lot of found footage and animation in the SPAMFIGHT film. She's a playwright. Her name's Jamie Sun-woo. And she has a play about Spam and the Korean War. And it's called Specially Processed American Me, which spells out Spam.
Wow,
and so I was like, oh yeah, it's really fun. Like maybe like one day, right now she has a film of the play that she's touring around in festivals. People can catch. But it's such a great play that really links together like how Spam came to be for Koreans and like how it's tied to war and like how she found her identity through a can of Spam. And she's like from Brooklyn. I think, she spent time in Brooklyn, so there might be a little like overlap there with you.
That's awesome. We'll add all this stuff to the show notes so everyone can check it out if they want to.
I think there was other rumors like it's spiced ham. What else did it almost stand for? There was like a whole list of ideas that people had of like what Spam really meant, but so far like Hormel has not confirmed or denied what it actually stood for. I feel like the actual story is probably not as interesting, and like the rumors around it is more interesting.
They're like, we need to keep the mystique of spam alive.
Exactly.
Yeah. I talked to the guy who wrote the Spam cookbook, and he said that Spam actually, like, he went and like saw how it was made and everything, and he said that it's actually better than hot dog in terms of like what kind of meat goes into the Spam can, and like just better quality meat goes into Spam can, and like anything that is really, really leftover goes into a hot dog. So that really made me feel really good about eating Spam. I was like, I'm eating a higher quality processed meat.
Well, that is definitely new. I mean, who knows as to whether that's like, company propaganda or true, but I would like to believe that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I did a quick Google search, and it's pork shoulder and pork ham.
But one of the rumors is for the S, is like shoulder.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, Spam is shoulder, pork, and ham or something like that, right?
Shoulder, and what's the P for? Like shoulder.
Is it pork? It's a kind of
penis.
I mean, those are definitely in hot dogs too. So,
Sorry, I'm a teenage boy.
No,
sorry.
I like it. I
feel you.
was gonna say that if that's true, then like this is essentially refined dining that we've been doing for a very long time. If it's like just a shoulder, right? Like hot dogs are trash.
Hot dogs are really the trash meat. Like, let's just trash on hot dogs because like
I love hot dogs still, but
Oh yeah, no, I'll take a good hot dog any day. How else are y'all eating your Spam?
Oh, this morning, this is not my normal way at all, because I usually favor the Asian, anything Asian Pacific Islanders treatment of Spam. But because Freesia was on this like maple Spam hunt, and then as she incepted me, because I couldn't remember whether I had that one before, so I got mine at Pacific Supermarket in Westboro, for in the Bay Area. But yeah, I went any Asian supermarket. So, and I actually had some leftover poutine that I had ordered from Poutine Brothers in LA. Like, I don't know, Jin, if you've been there. So I made this morning a maple Spam poutine.
What?
It was pretty good.
That sounds fucking great.
Yes.
Oh my God.
If you look at the official recipe, it's funny because they'll do it more as like a Spam fry shape with the cheese curds and a gravy, and like no potatoes in there. But this one I just had the leftover ingredients like fries, cheese curds, gravy, and then I made sure to crisp up the Spam pieces and sprinkle them. So I think that would be definitely one of my exceptions for the non-Asian ways to eat Spam. I guess because maple Spam just sounds so like, white, shall we say. And so I have to try Jin's way too. That's not my favorite way, but that's my most recent way a couple of hours ago.
Because the maple Spam, I tried it in a musubi, and it didn't work as well as with waffle batter or like pancake batter. And I think it is something about like it's a little bit more of a Western flavor profile. So I don't know. Like in the musubi, I was like, I just want like my teriyaki based, like I don't know. It's hard.
Yeah. We also waffled the maple Spam and pancaked it and did like the sticks in pancake batter. There was one morning where I just went into the kitchen and I was like, let's crack into this can.
Which version did you like the best?
I think sticks or like kind of chunky sticks in batter was the most popular in my house.
Also known as caranchos.
Yes, my
What?
5-year-old named them
Yeah.
caranchos because she didn't know how to describe them. And it was like
Just
a
made
little
them
bit crunchy. And also she is known for making up names for everything and everyone.
Cute.
That's so cute.
And she was like, it's a carancho. And so it stuck. It's also what she calls the baby now. It's fine. And then I also, I think runner-up for me was I cut a thick slice. Actually, Sam made this for me, but under my art direction. Like a little bit of a thicker slice of Spam, and then pressed it into the waffle iron and then poured the batter over it.
Ooh.
And then waffled it. So it was just like a solid piece of
just
Spam instead of like chopped up into the batter.
Yeah.
So like there were little parts that didn't get any Spam like around the edges, but then where there was Spam, it was like notably maple Spam.
Yeah, the Spam gets a little caramelized in the waffle iron first, and then the batter.
Oh my God. I have to go and get another one. You know, the next spam dish I'm gonna make, it's really laborious, but it just like reminds me of my grandma because her lunches were actually really great. I just had like, you know, internalized racism and I didn't want to eat it in front of like my non-Asian friends, but that's another story. But her lunches were so like laborious and thoughtful. And one time she made like these rice balls where it was like different colored rice balls. So she got egg, she got like the yellow yolks on the side and then the whites, and then she cut up the whites really tiny, and then she got spam after she cooked it, thank God. And then she like cut it up really tiny. And then she put the rice ball in the mixture so that it's covered with a different color. So I had like yellow, white, pink, yellow, white, pink, yellow, white, pink. Like when you open the bento box, it's just like a row of like pink balls, a row of white balls, a row of yellow balls. And I'm like, oh, I want to make that one day. But, you know, it's really time consuming because
Oh
you have
my
to like chop
God.
up those things into like basically like spam dust and like white egg dust, you know? But I do want to do it one day. I just haven't gotten like the time.
That's amazing.
Wow. That's so cool.
Awesome.
What is the rice seasoned with?
Like sesame oil, probably with like, she used this powdered sushi mix thing that you could get. It's like basically it's like dried up sweet vinegar.
Mm.
It's like the fast way of making like sushi rice.
I didn't know that existed. Whoa, hacks.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm,
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then I wanted to mention, I know like it's kind of backtracking, but like when we were making the film, it was so fast and so easy to make in many ways because of the confines of like filming everything in my house and underneath my table. Like I used a dining table, I opened it and I put my camera there. So it's like an overhead shot. And I was cooking underneath the dining table, like all these different spam dishes, like pudejjigae, like ramen, spam fried rice, like spam eggs and rice, like all these different spam dishes, which eventually my kid ate it all because he's like, oh my God, are you going to cook another thing? He thought I was like doing it for him. It was really funny. And like when I was looking for like spam art and like found footage just to like, you know, fill it out more, it was so easy to find artists who are like, oh my God, like I love spam. And then like, you know, we have a mutual friend named Dawn Wing, who's a comic book artist. And she was like, I can make you like, you know, a paper collage title card. And I'm like, really? Okay, cool. So then she made that. And then like the artist who is known as Cory Angry, her real name is Eun-Soo Jung. She made these like tiny miniature. She makes tiny miniature art. Like Cory Angry is also like such an amazing like miniature angry Korean woman like art. I don't know how to classify it because it's miniatures, but she also takes photos of it and makes it into comics. And she was like, I would like to make a miniature wooden spam can for you. So then we used that for like the map sequence where like the soldiers are like pushing the can towards Asia.
Oh, that's so awesome. That was such a good sequence too.
Yeah, right. It was so fun. And that was all like filmed underneath my my dining table.
I don't think I knew about your table setup. That's really cool.
Yeah, because like I couldn't like rent anything. I had to like figure it out. So I'm like on my floor, like looking up at my dining table. Like I'm like, don't crash. And then I have a friend who's an animator and she teaches animation in SCAD. And she was like kind of like, oh yeah, I love spam. So she's the one who like animated the 7-Eleven spam sequence where it's like 7-Eleven.
Oh, yeah. I remember that very well.
Yeah. So I was like, wow, like all these like freaking amazing artists just, you know, like they were like, yeah. And then like Jamie Sunwoo, of course, like she has this shadow play stuff in her play where like she uses shadow puppetry to like talk about the war. And she was like, yeah, you can use like bits of that for your film as well. So it was really cool to see like the cult of spam like having touched so many people and like how we're all expressing it through art, or like somehow like our identity is like being formed by this can, and everyone's just like paying homage to like spam. I feel like Spam Brand, like it's kind of interesting because now they're doing all these like collaborations with influencers and like foodie like people and stuff. I don't know if you all see it, but like it's all over my my Instagram, my Facebook. It's like they're doing all these like cool collaborations now with Asian American food people, and I'm like, yes, we have arrived. We're getting our glory.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's so interesting because I think what comes up for me actually is like when I was younger, like in high school, I don't remember that like my friends were eating Spam, and it doesn't mean that they weren't. We just weren't talking about it, and we didn't like have a shared love over it that we could, like talk about at school or whatever. And in some respects, it made me feel a little bit like, oh, is this my family? Like, is this just me? Like, what are we doing? And now, I've obviously come to realize like so many other people love Spam also, but to hear this additional layer of like how artists are actually like working with it and like really paying homage, but also just really, thinking about how it influences their own roots and larger cultural identities and things like that makes me feel really good. And also, like, I wish I had known that when I was 14.
Yeah, I mean, this conversation didn't exist back then, right? It's only more recently that there's like permission, so to speak, right, to so freely express your love for Spam and pride. So it is a shift for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of shame around it, It should be called like spame. Spame.
Spam.
I was trying to make it work. Spame.
Definitely, a lot of Asians would definitely still eat that.
Yeah, spame. Okay, do you want a can of spame? No, there's so much shame around it. I think it's because, like, I think also there's like this stupid stereotype of like Asian Americans eating or Asians eating dogs. And then Spam is from a can. So they're like, are you eating dog food? So I think there was, I don't know if either of you ever grew up with that, but, I've grown up with some like nasty people around me who did make fun of me like eating it, right? It's like, oh, are you eating dog food? And it's like, it's not the same as eating dog if you're eating dog food, but
Did not deny.
You know what I mean?
Like, not a good logic leap.
I know. But it's just like, it's just the fact that people are making fun of what you're eating. And it stems from the whole, like, you bring something to lunch and it doesn't even have to be Spam. It could be something else. And people are making fun of what you eat. And what you eat is who you are. And it makes you feel like, people are making fun of you, your culture, your parents, your heritage. So I think it's just like so much bigger. And but it is interesting because like I ate so much Spam at home, and there was like some Spam that like people couldn't tell it's Spam, like when my grandma did the like Spam around the rice ball thing. So I would eat those things at school. But like, yeah, if it was like a big chunk of Spam at school, like I would be so like mortified. But now, like, as a mother, my son's like, can you please pack me some Spam musubi for lunch? And there's something about like doing it for him and him loving it and not caring like what people say, like, because it's not like people are like, ooh, what is that? Some people still in his class are like, ew, what is that, right? And like some of his best friends, and I asked him like, how do you respond when like your classmates like making fun of your lunch? And he's like, they're not making fun of my lunch, they're just curious. And I'm like, really? Even when they're like, ew, what is that? And he's like, yeah, I say it back to their food. So I'm just like, okay, this is healing in some weird way.
That's really beautiful. No, that's true. I mean, what you're saying, Jin, in a lot of food writing, there's been this whole like, so there was this canonization of like the lunchbox moment, and then there's this whole backlash, right, against writing about the lunchbox moment. But as far as the backlash goes, I mean, I can understand if it's like people are being forced to create this narrative if it's not true, like by the publishers, just because it will sell. But then at the same time, the people who are like anti lunchbox moment, I'm like, it still exists. Like that actually, it's still real. It still happened to a lot of us, and it's still happening. And you're saying right now it's still happening to your son in school these days, and he's in Los Angeles, like diverse Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I think our generation also is probably the ones who are writing with the lunchbox moment, because I think it happened most in our generation. I mean, I might be making like gross like generalizations.
That's fine. We're good with that on the show.
Yeah, but we're also the ones who are so traumatized from that like as parents, when we're like, I feel like I'm projecting that same trauma and fear into my son, because like I'll be making food for him and I'm like, ooh, like I can't put this in your lunchbox because your fucking friends are gonna make fun of you. And he's like, forget it, I don't give a shit, just give me the Spam. But that, I think that's really cool that like, I mean, it's not cool that we're so traumatized that we have to like second guess everything we're packing in our kids' lunch, but it's cool that our kids are now able to stand up for themselves in a way that like I wish I could have stood up for myself when I was a kid. And there's a little layer of like confidence that I'm like, okay, I mean, also maybe it's like a generational thing in terms of like, first gen, second gen, like the immigration patterns, because I'm technically an immigrant child because I came here when I was 5. So I think I had more of that, like, I don't want to be foreign, or I don't want to be seen as foreign, or my English. Actually, I didn't speak English until I was in 5th grade because I was so scared that my weird Spanish Korean accent was going to be like my tell or something. And I was trying to like memorize as much slang and like watch so much TV so I could speak like, a person who was born here. And I just remember like my lunchbox for me was like, oh, they're going to know that I'm not like actually from here. It was like that moment. That was more for me. Like, it's like, it was that time during the day, in the school day, where like I had to like hide in the bathroom to eat, or like go into my little corner, because I didn't want people to like notice. Well, first of all, I didn't want anyone to notice me in general. And then I also didn't want them to notice that I wasn't like really from here.
Like, how do we follow that up? No, I mean, I think that's super interesting. And I guess where I like can't relate in terms of just like being, many generations removed from immigration, but I think there's still something about like not wanting a certain type of attention, right? Whether it's differences of immigration and origin or lunch or whatever. I think as a kid, for me, growing up vegetarian and vegan, I also didn't want a certain kind of attention on my lunch. Like, there were certain lunches that I could bring that were like showstoppers and kids were jealous, and then others that were like, what's that? And I actually forgot to mention this on my episode, but like I used to get teased for being a vegetarian.
Really?
By little kids. Yeah.
This is the 80s, right? So this is
the 80s. Yeah, this is the 80s. I'm old, y'all.
We are the same age.
We're old. But yeah, I would get teased for it. And so there were certain things where like I didn't necessarily want meat stuff or to like look like I was eating meat, but I definitely wanted things that seemed, kind of more regular. Like a peanut butter and jelly is always a peanut butter and jelly, regardless of your dietary choices.
Oreo is vegan.
Yeah.
Oreos are vegan, yes.
Mm-hmm. They weren't at the time.
Really?
Oh,
they weren't at the time. Hydrox were. Ugh. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, poor child Frasier having to eat the healthier versions of junk food.
Not healthier, just a different chemical. Yeah.
It's true.
But all that to say, like, I think, there are a lot of us that have some kind of lunchbox moment, whether or not we really recognize it. And it is so nice that it's changing today. And it is nice that, like, I think if we sent our kids to school with Spam, no one would blink. No one would bat an eye. Our kids, one of them would probably also get a school lunch and eat whatever Spam noodles we sent with her. But yeah, it's just really refreshing, I guess, to see that there is, such a love of things that before seemed a little bit hidden or at least just like not talked about, and that's changing for our kids.
Man, I'm already thinking about, am I projecting any of my, childhood cultural food traumas onto my daughter already? Because she's in daycare a few days a week, and we have to send food in with them. And so for lunch, sometimes I'll give her like a, like rice with pureed bok choy and like ground chicken. And I guess that's like kind of Chinese because the bok choy is rice. But it's funny how like her caretakers send me a log of like what she's eaten and done that day. And so whenever it's like she eats that for lunch, like the woman calls it chicken mixture. I mean, I don't tell her what it. She be great there. It's all like pureed and mashed up, but like it's. I just am so amused by the fact that she refers to it as chicken mixture, and I just okay, thank you. So I'm wondering if this is impacting, or whether if whatever I'm packing for her, do I have a little bit of fear, or do I not? Of like, oh, is this too like weird or whatnot? So we haven't reached the spam phase yet, but TBD. Anyway.
Oh my God, Margot, I really want you to pack like weird stuff, like just like weird combination, maybe like cream cheese and Spam. And I just want to see what they write up. Like, I want to see what they say back. Like, What would they call like a cream cheese spam sandwich?
Oh, God.
A ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Ham and cheese.
Yeah, if you didn't get it, or yeah, her daycare is not Asian. So like,
It's a good question though, right? Like when we're sending our Asian kids to places of like primarily non-Asian care and leadership, like how does it impact them and the way that sort of their food is being received and then their relationship to that food because it's been received in whatever way from their caretaker? We're not going to solve for that here. Interesting thought for me.
I was going to ask, what was your most inventive or like strangest presentation of Spam that you've ever had?
Besides Spam and cream cheese.
or whatever at Spam Jam.
Yeah, I was like thinking about Spam Jam.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we'll ever get to the level of like creating a Spam carved turkey for Thanksgiving.
What?
Because you've seen that, right? Like the meme of like there's like a Spam, but it's like carved out to make it look like a turkey and for Thanksgiving. I think someone just did it for fun, like maybe, because Spam is so like malleable. But like I was thinking about that and I was like, everybody in my family would rather eat that than turkey. So like maybe we just do it. Or maybe we do it on the side and see like do a little competition, like a friendly competition, like who's gonna eat the Spam turkey and like who's gonna eat the turkey.
I have one where I used to do spaghetti with sauce, but instead of like a regular ground meat, I would like cut up the Spam into really, really tiny cubes and pan fry that and then add the sauce into the pan and then put that over my spaghetti and that would be my Spam spaghetti.
Do your kids eat that?
I have not tried it with them yet. I used to eat this like right out of college when I didn't really have any money and barely had a fridge.
And creative survival food.
Exactly.
That was pretty good.
Do you all see this photo? It's a photo of cocktails that I had in Waikiki Spam Jam.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So it's a Bloody Mary with a deep fried Spam cube stuck inside of a celery, and then like a margarita with like lime and also a deep fried Spam stuck into it. I mean, that one had less. I would say that one didn't have a good enough of a combination, but the Bloody Mary one, because it also comes with bacon. It's like bacon, deep fried Spam, celery, olive inside this Bloody Mary. Like that was probably one of the most interesting.
Yeah, that's perfect, actually.
Yeah, that
It's
sounds
so
kind of
good.
great.
Yeah, the margarita one is.
Yeah, I don't know about the margarita one, but the Bloody Mary was really good. And then they also made like a chicken nugget that's out of Spam. Like the outside of the coating was exactly like a chicken nugget coating, so it's not like crispy, but it was like this.
Oh,
You know,
yeah.
like
That looks like a chicken nugget.
it really looks like a chicken nugget with a dipping sauce.
What was the dipping sauce?
I think it was like a sweet mayo-y like type of dipping sauce. It was really good. And then there was also a tater tot with like Spam bits, sour cream, and green onions.
Ooh.
Get down with
Yes.
I love it when like the Spam is like, it's almost like bacon bits, right? Like you can really put it on anything and it elevates it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I'm getting so hungry right now.
That's why I knew I had to eat Spam like before this pod, and I have some left over to eat after because I knew it was coming.
There was an ice cream. It's ube ice cream with, this was at Kotiki Terrace. It's like ube ice cream with Spam like bits, kind of like bacon bits on top with furikake.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, on top of like ube ice cream.
Because I'm not the hugest ube fan, but that looks really nice.
Yeah, I think it brings out like a lot of these tropical flavors. Like, I mean, it's basically like salt. Like when you put sea salt. Ooh, someone should make like Spam chocolate chip cookies where like they use Spam like almost like a sea salt.
Yes,
Oh my
because I remember.
God.
Okay, so a friend of mine in Hawaii used to have an annual bacon party, and you had this potluck, and everything had to have bacon in it. So I did do a chocolate chip bacon cookie once, and I'm like, oh my God, the Spam version. As long as you make it super crispy, right? That's the key.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be like Spam dust.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. But if too bad, there's no Spam fat. to mix into the batter to partially replace the butter. Dang. Ooh, do you think that would sell if you had like a spam flavored lard for cooking?
Bring
Yeah,
back the
like,
fat.
too much. Or like spam flavored olive oil.
I think what would sell is like the bacon bits version of spam, but like you put in like a little shaker,
Yes.
and then you
Yeah,
can just like
for
top
sure.
things with it. That like dehydrated spam dust.
Yeah, and I think it's like a cocktail rim, like glass drink.
Cocktail rim,
Oh,
yes.
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 Like modified Bloody Mary.
Spits.
Spits? Oh, spam bits.
Oh my god,
With a Z, maybe? Spits.
Yes, with a Z.
Of course, with a Z.
that's perfect.
Or Schbitz with a shame.
Spam
Spitz.
and spitz.
Are you listening, Spam? Are you listening, Hormel?
Get at us. Is there anything else that you love cooking that we haven't covered? Or any crazy story?
I want to hear about the palette of Spam. This is
Oh yeah. So my background before I became a filmmaker, I was in wholesale fashion. Like a bunch of like Koreans who lived in South America for whatever reason do that. And my family all does that. So I was like doing that. Anyway, so my mind is always in wholesale in terms of like, can I get this cheaper if I buy 12? You know? And I was like trying to figure out the spam thing. Like I have a lot of spam related like content that I'm like making. So one of them, I was like, ooh, I want to like create a background wall of spam. And I think I need to buy a palette of spam in order to like get like, you know, the background so that I could film people in it or film objects in it or whatever. And then I was like calculating how much spam I need to like fill out a frame for like a film camera. And I was like, yeah, I think I need a palette. So then I was like talking to all my restaurant friends, like, where can I buy a pallet of spam? Like, how do I order a pallet of spam? And they're like, girl, you're crazy. Like, you can't eat all that. And I'm like, no, it's for art. Like, you don't understand. Like, I just really need it for like a backdrop.
But also, yes, we could.
And we could, it lasts forever. Like, it lasts for like 3 years. Like, why can't we
more
eat
than
it, right?
that. Way more than that.
I could give it out, you know? I mean, like, anyway, so then my friend who's a production designer was like, Jin, I can just like create a fake backdrop that will look like a wall of spam and it'll cost you like hundreds of dollars less. And it's going to be blurry in the background anyways. Like it doesn't have to look real, but like I'll make it look really real where like, so, you know, the gloss and everything. And I was like, okay, yeah, that makes more sense.
Less fun, but
I know, it's kind of dream killer, but fine.
Dream killer. I can't eat it after, but fine.
Wait, so how many cans are in a pallet of spam?
I forgot all these numbers. This was a while ago, but if you can imagine, a pallet is like really big. Like I feel like it's like the size of my couch.
yeah.
Yeah, hundreds, maybe over 1,000 cans. I don't know. And my friend's like, well, you're not going to see any spam cans beyond that first wall. Like, you don't need a whole pallet.
It says you.
I don't know. I think maybe they just don't understand your vision
Yeah, I was like...
and your eating vision afterwards.
I think that's the part. I was like trying to get it so I could justify having that much spam in my house. And I could just be like, it was for art, but we have to eat it. Sorry, guys.
Also, it was like 50 cents a can, and who can pass up that deal?
Right?
So many signs pointed to yes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Sorry that happened to you.
I'm actually more like sad that none of my restaurant friends were like, yeah, use my business license to get a shit ton of spam. I'll support you. Like nobody said that.
Yeah, that surprised me the most. I can't believe they tried to stop you.
Like what? Why did you try to stop me? Like what's in it? What is it in it for you?
Still internalized spam shame.
And she was Korean too. She like uses spam in her menu. That's why I asked her. I was like, hey, I know you buy pallets of spam, so like help me out. She's like, just go to Costco. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Costco has a pallet of spam. That's what that looks like. Shit.
Right?
Yeah.
You just have to go and like take everything out. Like just be like, I'm just gonna wheel out this whole thing. That's what a pallet looks like. Yeah, for sure.
That's amazing. Oh, man. Hey, I support you if you want to do that. If the need arises.
Same here.
You know, one day, if you guys ever come over and if I just have like a whole wall in my house covered in Spam, you'll know why.
Love it. Love that for you.
For art.
I have used Spam cans for various like interesting creative ways. I guess it's not really that interesting or creative because then I saw everyone else doing it. But I started using it as like a plant pot. And then I just had like a row of Spam cans with like flowers growing out of it, which I thought was so hilarious.
Like the opposite, like opposites, like nature versus not nature at all.
Yeah. And then I have like a pencil holder for a Spam can. I think I saw like I was on this like Spam rabbit hole and I saw people doing some crazy things with Spam. I know a friend who had a Spam Joe where like her friend got a Spam can and made it into a banjo for her.
Wow.
Wow.
But yeah, no, it gets like really, really interesting, like what people can do with like a can of Spam.
That's amazing.
It's really interesting. I think someone built a bike with it.
What?
Don't quote me on it. Or maybe they covered their bike with the Spam can like outside of it. But there's like a bike out there with all the Spam logo on it.
Did they oil the gears with a lard?
Race them up.
Down with potato starch.
No, we need to make a campaign to get back to the
Get the congeal back.
All the Spam cans are pop tops now. Do you all remember the old version where it was like you got a key and you had to like slip it into this tab and then you had to wind the collar off the top?
I remember that.
Yeah. It's like the bigger the effort, like the bigger the reward. So you were right. It's like if you successfully did it, you're like, I have this Spam now. And also, weren't the labels now? It's like plastic, right, wrapped around the can. But back then, was it paper, or did it actually usually be printed on the can?
Ooh,
I don't know.
I don't remember.
I always remembered it like kind of the way it was, but I'm sure at some point it keeps evolving.
Are Spam flavors like Japanese Kit Kats?
Oh, I had in terms of like collectability or like
Yeah, like, you know, like, oh, there's a hot new flavor, but it's super limited and you can only get it in certain places, Asian markets. Yeah, I don't know. I just, when I was on the hunt for maple Spam, I didn't find it, but I found like bacon Spam, which sounds extremely redundant to me. And then Margot, you had jalapeno Spam, and my mom has given us like hot Spam. And it just sort of, at first it was like hot Spam, okay, I get it, haha, whatever. And now I'm like, oh no, it's getting fun. It's getting fun and collectible, and like there's a novelty to it in the way that Japanese Kit Kats are like, you can only get certain flavors certain places. And it just,
that's so true.
Yeah.
Yes, I would agree.
It just made me think like, oh, we've really come a long way.
I think the biggest difference is that like, I don't know if I would eat all the Spam flavors. Like, I still can't get behind pumpkin spice.
Oh, right.
Wait, did you ever find that one? Did you ever eat that
gross.
one?
I bought it once just to like have it. I don't know what happened to it. I did not eat it though because there was just something in me that I was like, I don't know if I could do that. But now that I did maple, maybe
One more leaf.
maybe it's similar to maple. No, it's more nutmeggy probably.
Yeah, like also who is that for? Actually,
I should say not Asians.
Yeah.
And not Asians, and white people don't like Spam, so I really don't know.
Exactly. Like,
Ooh, that would be interesting to see who's pumpkin spice Spam.
just one can to Jin.
I wanted to share some Spamalicious facts with you.
Please.
Aside from the Waikiki Spam Jam and the Spam Museum, there's also Spamarama, which I think is defunct now, but it was in Texas. And they had like Spam cook-offs. I think that one might have been shuttered by Hormel because I don't know the details, but they may or may not have done it without their permission or something. But they had something called a Spamalympics, including a Spam toss and a Spam burger eating contest. So there's all these like weird like festivals and gatherings. Texas, that's interesting because I wouldn't have guessed people in Texas were like big Spam fans.
Yeah.
Spam Jam should totally do a Bay Area one.
I was just going to say, what should we start here?
Yeah, that would be insane.
Spam.
Spam.
The Spam Fest.
Come to our collective spam shame eating festival.
Yes, exactly. And then all the like contests could be around like shameful things, like eating spam while you're naked.
Eating spam straight out of the can.
With cream cheese.
With cream cheese.
Contest to see how you can make spam bad.
Oh man, this sounds like Bizarro World. Yeah, the Nightmare Spam Festival. Now I don't want to go to.
But you want to go there to gawk at all the like spammy people.
Yeah, you're right. I definitely would go. Maybe that's where I would eat that sandwich. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that.
I love that now all of you guys have to think about the cream cheese spam sandwich and collectively like feel what I felt.
We did ask you to tell that story. I'm like, why did you do that? Then I remember you did give us a warning, and we're like, yeah, we want this information now.
But also, I'm going the other way with it, and I'm like, okay, how do we make this good? Like, what is a version in which there's a good spam sandwich that sort of honors the original idea that your mom had, but makes it good?
You just cook the spam.
Yeah, you cook the spam.
Yeah, you can cook.
Number one.
Make it into the dust and then put it with everything but bagel seasoning and put it on top of a bagel that has cream cheese inside. I would get down with that.
That is not kosher.
Not kosher at all. Koreans are mostly not kosher though, so it's okay. There are ways to make it good.
That sounds really good now, actually. I want like a bagel, cream cheese, spam dust, or like chopped spam, crispy, bagel seasoning.
Yeah.
I would eat that. Look at this. We're healing your childhood trauma in real time.
You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that and I'm going to bring it to my mom when I see her. And I'm going to say, this is how you could have done it.
Does she remember this?
Yeah, I brought it up to her last week. I will never let her like forget this. Like, I'm like, Mom, this is the way you traumatize me. I'm a 41-year-old grown-ass woman who has a bone to pick with her mother's lunch.
What did she say?
She was like, I thought it was like a ham and cheese sandwich. I didn't know.
Has she tried it? That's the thing too. Like,
no.
You should make her eat it, even though you won't have the same congeal. But
no, make her the good one. Make her the good one and say, this is how it could have been.
Maybe I could make her the bad one and then the good one. And just be like, which one would you choose to eat?
I think you should make you the good one for your own inner child that just needs to eat a different sort of spam cream cheese sandwich.
Good idea. Maybe that's what I'll make today.
That sounds great.
It's a really good idea.
This has been a super fun episode. I think we could probably keep talking about spam for many, many more hours, which also makes me think that there might be a spam part 2 at some point in our future with both of you. Margot and Jin, thank you so much for being here. We have loved every moment of this, particularly the ones that probably aren't going to make it into the episode. Sorry, listeners. But this has been super fun. For sure have loved talking about spam and a thing that, like, you know, seemed so kind of whatever and now is like such a big part of so many people's lives. And that has been really nice to hear about. Margot, where can people find your work if they'd like to find you?
Okay, right now, I guess the easiest way is just to go to sfgate.com. I write a dumpling column about every other month. It just came out of hiatus last month, so you can read some recent stuff there. And does anyone use Twitter or whatever X anymore? Who knows? I don't even know, but you can see if I still post on there. It's at, what am I again? Margot Seeto. See, I don't even remember my own. Sorry, MEATOSEETO, or I guess I'm not even really on Threads, but I sort of am. So Margot Meato. MARGOT-MEATO.
And Jin, where can people find your work?
I'm usually on JYK Films on all social media platforms, including TikTok, where I usually post like food videos. And I did start like this other food account, but I have not been good at keeping up with it. But it's called Kimchi Drip with a double P. But I think now that I said it out loud, I'm going to like upload more food videos on there. For like spammy stuff that I'm doing, I have an Instagram account called the Spam Doc, which hopefully I'll be able to update as it goes along. And if anyone's interested in following Jamie Sunwoo's play, that is now a filmed play that she's touring around with it, her Instagram is Specially Processed.
Amazing. We will get links to all of that in the show notes. There's no recipe, listeners at home, this week, but we'd encourage you go find your own can of Spam, make something that we've mentioned or something of your own and let us know how it goes. Jin, we would love to have you back for your own standalone episode also if you're interested. Bolivian born, grew up in LA, Korean, grandma stories, so much there. We would love to have you back. Thank you both so much. This has been super, super fun. I really want to keep going. It's okay. We'll do part 2.
Thank you for having us. Super fun. And I hope everyone's hungry after like listening to this.
Well, now I also like want to make pudejjiga, so I can't decide if I want to make pudejjiga, like the Korean army stew, or like something not as soupy and eating a bagel. We'll see.
No wrong choices. No wrong answers.
No wrong choices.
Yeah. All right. Thank you both, and we'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.